If you have studied meditation, you will have heard about the importance of concentration. Students are taught to observe their breath, visualize a deity, repeat a prayer or mantra, etc. Oftentimes, people mistakenly believe this is all meditation is: simple concentration. While concentration is important, it is only a step on the way to meditation. Unfortunately, it is a step where many fail. In this lecture and the next, we are going to ensure that you do not fail, but that you reach concentration and go beyond it. We have already discussed the preliminary steps and their importance. Those steps cannot be skipped. If you skip them, you will definitely fail at meditation. If you are implementing them in your daily life and practicing them every day, then your success is certain. The practices that most people call meditation are actually just preliminary concentration exercises. These types of practices, like repeating a mantra, help us to develop focus, continuity of perception. This is what concentration means: continuity of perception. Have you tried such practices? Reflect on your experience of them. How long were you able to sustain concentration before you became distracted? Were you distracted more of the time and daydreaming more of the time, or were you concentrated more of the time? Were you aware of yourself the entire time? Most beginners remain aware for a few seconds after the exercise begins, but then come thoughts, sensations, memories, worries, dreams. Within a few moments of beginning the practice, we drift away into dreamland, not meditating, but daydreaming, thinking about this or that. And then we feel a discomfort in the body, so we adjust it, or we scratch, or stretch. And then after 20 minutes or half an hour, we stop and we think, that's it, I've meditated, good for me. When in truth, most of the time, we were completely distracted, daydreaming, thinking. Not aware of what we were doing, not aware of ourselves, and certainly not truly concentrating. In other words, our psychological state was as it always is throughout our daily life: distracted, without continuity of consciousness. Most of the time, our attention is shallow and fleeting. It hops amongst many distractions. It pauses briefly on our body, some sensation. Then it drifts to the room, a sound we heard. Then some thoughts trickle by, and we think about things, worries, anxieties, fears. And then memories come, and we drift amongst them. In short, rather than meditating or even concentrating, most people are simply thrown around by sensations. When this is all that people experience, it is no surprise that they quit trying to meditate. That is why we are studying the steps. There is a remedy for this problem, and it is easy to apply. The aim is to develop actual concentration. Concentration is the sixth step. When our attention is very concentrated, our mind is totally calm and serene. We are not distracted by anything, but remain serenely focused. We feel deep peace and joy, and this is not even meditation yet. We can experience something similar when we're very concentrated on something that we enjoy, like reading a book. Sometimes when reading a book, we lose awareness of our environment. Even if someone calls our name, we don't hear them because we are so concentrated. In meditation, we develop a degree of concentration that is even greater than that. Concentration is a wonderful state of consciousness and very beneficial in life. Not only is it the gateway to real spiritual experience in meditation, it is also a tremendous power in practical life. When we have powerful concentration, we can complete tasks with more efficiency, speed, and skill than those who do not. We can understand and solve problems that others cannot. We can control the wild mind and dominate our lower passions, thereby avoiding much suffering. Anyone can develop deep concentration. You simply must be willing to change. When you first begin to learn meditation, you cannot hold your attention on one thing for very long. Within a few moments, you become distracted, fall asleep, or dream. You forget you are supposed to be meditating. This happens because that is how you live your daily life. Your attention is always being carried away by your senses. It says in the Bhagavad Gita, when the mind follows the wandering senses, then it carries away one's gnosis, as the wind carries a ship across the water. The five physical senses are constantly receiving information that demand attention. We also sense thoughts and emotions. These are non-physical sensations, and they also constantly demand attention. From moment to moment, we are distracted by all of these sensations. From moment to moment, thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations distract you. That is why your mind is like a leaf on the wind, blown randomly in every direction, without the ability to control itself. That is why you forget things and leave things unfinished. That is why you lose your wallet, phone, or keys, why you do not fulfill your promises, why so many tasks remain unfinished. It is why you cannot solve many problems. It is also why you are unable to meditate. When the wandering senses attract the mind, we become identified. We lose awareness. We live in a continual state of self-forgetting. We are rarely fully aware of what we're doing, and we certainly lack the ability to hold our attention on one thing for as long as we want. When we want to learn to meditate, beginners are told to concentrate on one thing for a while. But our senses continue to pull our attention from sensation to sensation. You feel discomfort, so you move. You feel an itch, so you scratch it. A thought emerges, so you follow it. Your phone makes a noise, so you check it. A memory arises, so you think about it and react to the emotions that memory evokes. In other words, you, your consciousness, are not in control of your experience. Instead, you are simply reacting, being dragged along by whatever happens. When you automatically do whatever the body demands, then the body is in charge of your life. It is saying, hey, scratch me, and you do. When you cannot stop reacting, thinking, wandering, acting on impulse, this means that your willpower, your consciousness, is enslaved. If you observe your life and your behavior from day to day, you will see that this is the condition not only of ourselves, but of everyone. We feel the urge for sugar, and we cannot control it, so we eat it. We feel the urge for alcohol, fried potatoes, sweets, sex, TV, going here, going there, eating this, drinking that, from sensation to sensation. We feel the urge to be angry, to feel the sensations of shame or depression. And unaware of this, we go right along with each of these urges, following each of these sensations like slaves. drawn like a boat driven by the wind. And so we suffer. This is the condition of humanity, and everyone thinks it's normal. It isn't. So much of our suffering is perpetuated by our poor relationship with sensations. Everything we are attracted to is because of sensations. Everything that repels us is because of sensations. We're just not aware of it. We mistakenly believe that if we can get enough of a certain pleasant sensation, we will finally be happy. And if we can avoid some unpleasant sensation, then we will finally be happy. Perhaps we don't want to feel less than others, or we don't want to feel powerless. But it never happens. It has never happened to anyone in history, ever, and it never will. Sensations are illusory. They appear briefly, then vanish. The pleasure or pain they bring is also temporary, brief. To be attached to sensations, or to be repelled by sensations, is like having these reactions to a cloud or to the wind. It's foolish. Sensations come and go. We are hypnotized by sensations. We are always seeking to repeat pleasant ones and sustain them. But because they are impermanent and unreliable, they do not last, and they cannot. So we are discontent when we do not have them, and then when we have them, we are afraid to lose them. And when we inevitably lose them, we are unhappy again, because we lost them. As long as we are pursuing sensations, we will be disappointed. Those who become attached to sensations become addicts. They lose control of themselves completely and degenerate and die. Some become addicted to physical sensations, while others become addicted to emotional or intellectual sensations. Some are addicted to the sensations of power, making money, stealing, feeling better than others. Lust on the surface appears to be a physical need related to sexuality, but in fact, it is psychological. Lust is a psychological addiction, not a physical need. The body is only responding to the impulses of the mind. On its own, our instinctual drive for procreation should only arise seasonally, not daily. Anger afflicts the body only because the mind suffers from anger. Anger wants to experience the sensations of making others feel pain. Pride is a psychological sensation of feeling better than others or worse than others. It makes us feel high, excited, puffed up, and that is an addictive experience, but entirely negative. When we buy something we want, we feel the sensation of satisfaction, but it quickly fades, and we want something else. Sensations do not last. Genuine happiness has nothing to do with sensations. Until we realize the true nature of sensations, we will never understand what real happiness is. We are not conscious of sensations and how our mind relates to them. We certainly are not conscious of how sensations hypnotize us and trap our willpower. If we were truly conscious of that, we would be horrified. In esotericism, we call this a state of sleep, where the consciousness, unaware of its true nature and the condition it is suffering within, is being dragged along without any cognizance of what's truly happening. Through meditation, we will experience the true nature of our consciousness. That true nature is genuine happiness, contentment, that does not rely on sensations, and it is not defined by sensations. It is naturally, spontaneously content, joyful, complete. And these experiences are beyond mere sensations. They are a state of being, and our aim is to restore that state of being. To do so, we need to liberate the consciousness from the modifications that afflict it. The method is simple. Learn to be aware of yourself from moment to moment, and learn to concentrate your attention on one thing at a time. In this way, by withdrawing into the consciousness, one can experience its natural state, a quality of being that is beyond sensations and is totally content and happy. That is why we are studying the steps of meditation. In step 1, we learn to restrain our desires and reduce the harm they cause. In step 2, we use our consciousness from moment to moment to be more aware, more present. In step 3, we relax all tension and become totally still. In step 4, we harness our preserved sexual power and use it to deepen our stillness. In step 5, we withdraw attention from the senses. In step 6, we concentrate on one thing without distraction. In step 7, we enter the state of meditation. In step 8, we experience the liberated consciousness, free of modifications and conditions. The 8 steps extract the consciousness from conditions, so that it is no longer identified with sensations, whether pleasant or painful, but sees them indifferently, without attachment, fear, aversion, or craving. To enter this state of meditation, we must learn how to extract our attention from the senses. We need the consciousness to be aware of itself and not forget itself. No matter what sensations arise, whether physical or non-physical, the consciousness must remain awake, aware, steady, and indifferent to those sensations, neither craving them nor avoiding them, but indifferent to them, seeing them as if from a distance, impartially. That is step 5 of meditation, withdrawal from the senses. There are many ways to learn to do this. In most meditation schools, it is learned by preliminary concentration exercises. When we place attention on one thing and resist the draw towards anything else, the sensations, not only is concentration developed, but withdrawal from the senses is also developed. Sensations push our attention around. They want to attract our attention. Concentration emerges by withdrawing attention from those distractions. As long as we continue being distracted by the many events in our senses, we will not learn to meditate. Our attention will be shallow, superficial, unsteady. Contrary to this, when we are in actual concentration, our attention is on one thing and does not waver, no matter what happens. We remain focused on that one thing. The body might complain, there might be sounds and thoughts, but we remain concentrated, relaxed, focused, unbroken. This requires no strain or effort at all. Real concentration is effortless, and that is only the beginning of meditation. Concentration is not meditation. Concentration is preparation. It is what you need to learn how to actually meditate. Concentration is the ability to place our attention on one thing and not have it taken away. Every one of us can do it. If we put your favorite show on the screen right now, you will be able to concentrate perfectly well. You will be able to withdraw your attention from everything else. If you put on your favorite song, or you see a person who's very attractive to you, you will be able to concentrate very well without distraction, because a desire is enticing your senses to focus on that. Notice how easily you concentrate on your favorite sport, your favorite music, your favorite food. Each one uses sensations to draw your attention to it. It draws the mind, but in this case, it draws the mind into identification with pleasure. When it comes to spirituality, we do not feel that kind of desire. It doesn't entice us in the same way, because we don't have the memory of experiencing divinity, the consciousness, or anything spiritual. We do not recall the truth about our true nature. That's why meditation is hard for us. That will change if we practice seriously. Pratyahara literally means withdrawal. It means to take the attention out of the senses. Pratyahara is a state of consciousness where the consciousness has withdrawn from the senses and is centered within itself. Simply put, you focus your attention inwards, not outwards. You withdraw from all outward phenomena to focus inwardly. Another way to translate this is abstraction. And that's because when you experience pratyahara, you will observe that the perceptions of the senses have become distant, something abstract that no longer has any power over your will. Pratyahara is a result of the previous steps. It is not possible to develop pratyahara by skipping the steps that lead to it. When we are developing those fundamental steps in our daily life and in our meditation practice, we are then primed to enter pratyahara. Pratyahara arises spontaneously, simply by bringing our attention inwards. Pratyahara arises spontaneously through a combination of withdrawal from the senses and concentration. Withdrawal from the senses is to turn our attention inwards. Concentration is the ability of the consciousness to place attention on one thing and have it remain there. So these skills combined lead directly to the state of meditation. At first, sensations are distracting. Concentration is irregular, unsteady. But these skills are developed by practicing continually, daily. Eventually, by steady application, attention becomes firmly placed, and concentration becomes established. The troubling sensations decrease in power and gradually become distant, abstracted. You may hear a sound. You may feel a breeze or the rumble of hunger or discomfort in your body. You might sense a change in temperature or hear voices, but you will not be distracted from your concentration. Thoughts might flow by, memories might flow by, but your attention remains fixed on the object of concentration. You have accessed pratyahara. Pratyahara is only the beginning of concentration. It is a quality of experience. It is not concentration itself. It is only the stage within which concentration can fully bloom. In pratyahara, attention is withdrawn from the senses and placed on an object and is starting to be able to stay on it. In other words, everything is starting to stabilize. The chaos of the mind is starting to settle. The senses are losing their power to manipulate our attention. We are starting to develop willpower. Pratyahara is the crux of yoga. It is the lever that propels us into meditation. If you're trying to climb something very steep and very high, and you're carrying a lot of weight, let's say a big bag of rocks, it's going to be really hard. It would be smart to get rid of the rocks, to drop them. Those rocks are bad habits, addictions, harmful tendencies, especially related with lust. If you start dropping those heavy behaviors, you will become lighter. it will become easier to climb the height. When you start practicing these exercises, you are climbing a cliff face. It's hard. It's hard because you don't have the muscles, you don't have the experience, and you're weighed down. But if you persist and you keep trying, you get stronger, and little by little, you raise yourself up. And when the moment comes that you pull yourself up and over the top of the cliff, that is Pratyahara. That state of consciousness propels you into the higher aspects of the practice. You see, dharana and dhyana come automatically if Pratyahara is perfect. Pratyahara cannot be forced. You cannot enter Pratyahara by straining yourself or applying force in any way, especially by fighting with the mind. Instead, we reach Pratyahara by steady effort in withdrawing from the senses and developing concentration. If you are not experiencing Pratyahara, then observe what sensation is pulling at your attention. Become aware of it, and then withdraw from it completely. When your attention is fully withdrawn from all sensations, Pratyahara arises immediately, spontaneously on its own. Once Pratyahara is well established, all the other steps happen on their own, without effort. Learning meditation is hard in the beginning. It is hard work to learn to meditate because we have to change a lot of bad habits, most of which we're unaware of. The hard work happens before Pratyahara. Once you know how to access Pratyahara, the rest of the steps of meditation are effortless. Do not look for shortcuts or tricks. Like anything truly worthwhile, it takes work, effort, dedication, training, and experience to learn how to access Pratyahara. But it is worth it. Every day, all day, be aware of how you are using your senses. If in every experience you are consciously aware of your senses and control what you pay attention to, then all day long you are preparing for meditation. Then, when it is time to meditate, you are already sharp, attentive, and can easily withdraw attention from the senses. Obviously, at first you will struggle. You will catch yourself being distracted by sights, sounds, thoughts, feelings. Good. Catch yourself. Recognize what distracted you and learn from it. Establish conscious awareness and extend it, broaden it, work with it always. The senses disturb your peace of mind. You must learn to dominate them and not feed their insatiable desires. They will complain and cry for their favorite sensations, but you must deny them and take charge of your life. This requires many years of work, but the end result is total liberation from suffering and power over nature itself. Only those who control their senses and mind have freedom and happiness. If you are easily upset by hunger or fear, or have mood swings, or strong cravings, or surging desires, then you cannot have happiness. Instead, you are controlled by subconscious desires and only have more suffering to look forward to. Stop now. Take charge of your mind and your senses. Notice the constant craving for new sensations. That is the path that creates addicts and degenerates. Be on guard. Dominate those desires and be content with a simple life, simple food, and modesty. Notice also the craving to repeat sensations. Your mind always wants to return, to dream about its experiences of lust or gluttony or pride, and it wants to repeat those sensations again, but ignores the cost. You must stop. Curtail this desire to return to the past and repeat sensations. Free yourself from the wheel of recurrence. We have to learn how to control our attention, and this is closely related with our senses. Someone who is very attentive in the moment is also very aware of their senses and controls what they pay attention to. They do not pay attention to filthiness or degeneration. They do not bring unworthy perceptions into their mind. Instead, they want to preserve their mind as a temple. Moreover, because of their profound awareness, such people cannot be hypnotized, distracted, or manipulated. To develop pratyahara, you need the ability to control how attention works through the senses all of the time. Be cognizant of how you are using attention and the senses. Be aware of it, conscious of it, and choose how you use it. Reduce your activities. Simplify your life. Eliminate distractions and frivolous activities. Be careful with how you utilize your time and your life and who you spend it with. Renounce useless activities and adopt spiritual ones. Use your senses consciously to study scripture, listen to beautiful music, eat and drink with great awareness, and contemplate the many beauties of nature. Be silent. Serious meditators observe silence of the tongue and the mind. Students are advised to observe long periods of silence every day. If you take a lens like a magnifying glass and gather the sun's rays and focus them, you can direct that ray of light to illuminate a dark place. You can even start a fire. The same is true of sound. If there is a person far away from us and we want them to hear us, we cup our hands and shout, and we direct the sound towards that person. This is what we do when we are learning concentration. We are focusing the energy of attention in one place. The power of meditation depends upon this skill. To do this, we have to withdraw attention from all the senses, from everything else but what we are paying attention to. Concentration can be developed all day long. Simply pay full attention to what you do. Do one thing at a time. When you're washing, do not think of anything else or do anything else. When you are cooking, do not think of work or bills or next week. Concentrate on what you're doing with full attention. In everything you do, fix your attention on your task. Do not struggle with your mind or fight with it. Simply fix your attention on what you're doing, and when you become distracted, resume your concentration again. Every day, sit still, withdraw from the external world, and practice concentration. You can concentrate on anything you want. If your concentration is very poor, start with something you can observe with your eyes, like a candle or an image of divinity. Some prefer to observe the sensations of the breath at the tip of the nose. Another method is to concentrate on the sensations of your heartbeat or the pulse moving in your fingertip. Whichever method you adopt, do not change it until you master it. You should become capable of retaining concentration for the entire session without ever forgetting that you are concentrating. Whichever object you choose to concentrate on, focus on it steadily for at least 10 minutes. If you want to progress rapidly, then do it for 30 minutes or an hour every day. Those with great zeal will do even more. We know students who practice 2 to 4 hours every day. They make great progress. You can even break up the time, short sessions many times throughout the day. We advise you to use a timer. Do not keep looking at a clock or a watch. This will only distract you. While practicing, do not think of time or how long is left. Simply be and concentrate. Do not strain or make any effort, especially mentally. You should remain totally relaxed, physically and mentally. And remember the previous steps. Follow the steps that we have already established. Take your posture, relax deeply, and perform some pranayama before you begin your concentration practice. If you become tense, relax and resume your concentration. If you become distracted, relax and resume your concentration. Do not judge yourself or criticize yourself. Simply start again. When you notice something is distracting you, observe it, then withdraw from it completely. Do not fight with your mind or try to repress thoughts or sensations. If the mind is running, let it run. Concentrate your attention and leave the mind alone. Those who get headaches or get tired from practice are fighting with the mind or the body, and they should not. Instead, they should simply focus on concentration. The mind and body will become quiet on their own when they get tired. Do not be distressed or distracted by them. Leave them be and continue to concentrate. If you have withdrawn the senses from all sense objects, your consciousness becomes very steady, and the perceptions of the senses become abstract, distant. That is pratyahara. If you hold that state, concentrate and relax deeper, you will access dharana, which is single-pointed concentration, the next step. Success only requires practice. Anyone can develop preliminary concentration and reach the state of pratyahara. There is nothing supernatural about it. It is a natural function of consciousness. Those who have a simple life are able to access pratyahara very easily. Children who have never meditated before are often able to experience pratyahara in their very first attempt. Why? Because they are innocent, simple, and do not have their minds filled with so much nonsense. Learn from this. Empty your mind, simplify your life, and practice. One day, when you are practicing concentration, you will suddenly realize that you feel totally at peace, serene, and steady. Your sense perceptions have become distant and abstract, like clouds high in the sky, and your concentration is strong, effortless, and unwavering. Be joyful. You have reached the experience of pratyahara, and you are now ready to truly begin your spiritual life. But do not forget, that steadiness can be quickly and easily lost. So do not return to bad habits or waver in your practice. Be strong and continue so that you will establish a firm foundation for radical internal change.